Hey guys, back to interviewing our hosts. We've added some new hosts since the last time we've done this, so I'm with two of them today. My good friends from college, John and Barbara Erdely. Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going good.
All right.
hmm
Okay, so should be a shorter video. We'll see what's doing. Barbara, let's start with who are you? Introduce
I
yourself to the good people.
I am a writer. I'm a mom. We have three little gremlins. I'm a live streamer. I am a procurer and seller of Pokemon, and I'm a bunch of different things.
Okay,
What about you?
Everywhere.
John.
Many
John,
hats.
same question. Worded the same way. Who the hell do you think you are, and how do you justify yourself to the world?
I am a small kid from Pallet Town. No, I am uh, from a small little uh, podunk,
Podunk.
podunk little country town. Grew up in the sticks, and I have big dreams of writing books. I like reading fantasy and science fiction, and I got a degree in creative writing at UNC Wilmington in North Carolina.
I can hear you. I'm right here.
Yeah, I'm speaking to the audience.
You're
Thanks for interrupting me.
Speaking to my ear.
He's projecting.
Also, I was a police officer for about 8 years, and now I work in construction. I help my wife with her Pokemon trading and selling, and I justify my existence to the world because
You help me with the kids.
I'm a father, and I like to cook, and I feel like I can contribute to the world with my writing and my music and other stuff. Creativity.
Your justification for existence is the deaths of more trees for your books and all the terrible pollution that comes from your cooking.
I have an arrangement with the tree spirits.
I thought you were going to say something else. That's funny.
Perfect. And if you haven't figured out by it, guys, like John and I go way back. We were roommates. I love messing with him. He's been one of my favorite punching bags, and yet he keeps coming back. You know, it's a very abusive relationship.
I like the attention.
We'd make a
we'd
make a perfect Lifetime movie. But he's always handled it with grace and has been very kind. And they've offered me home at time when needed. So I do love these two very much, and that's just how I show affection. So with that in mind, next question. Can you tell the listeners and the viewers how you two met? Barbara, why him?
The one story that comes to mind is we had already kind of known each other in college a little bit from being in the same creative writing classes. We're both creative writing majors. And I want to say this is before I actually got to know you very well. My sister had a class with John. What was it? Anthropology?
Yep.
Yeah. So my sister needed that class for her biology major. And so I decided to crash in on one of their labs when they went down to the river to look for muck and stuff in the
artifacts.
Artifacts.
We're looking for muck. No, we were looking.
I took my shoes
you going
off
for the mud harvest?
Yep. So I took my shoes off to walk around in the muck a lot better because I was wearing sandals. I got stuck in the muck. And I got attacked by a stupid mud crab. Yeah,
you got pinched?
I did. I have a scar on my foot from the crab.
Wow.
And John saved me from it.
Saved her from falling
How
in
romantic.
the muck. That is romantic.
He did. He actually caught me.
Dipped her, and I'm like, "Hey, you come here often?" No.
The mighty hunter beat off the crab. Saved the damsel in distress.
I originally thought he was creepy, and my opinion changed after that. I was just like, "Oh, okay, this guy isn't half bad."
Saved her from a mud crab.
Yeah.
I saw a mud crab the other day.
But then it's funny that we're both very awkward when it comes to flirting because we don't know how to do it still. We've been married for almost 11 years. We still don't know how to flirt.
Okay.
My sister stole my phone one day and texted John and told him that I had a crush on him.
Nice.
I didn't know that part.
I didn't even do it at first. And so then he texted back, and this is like after she put it back to where it was. And I see a message from John going, "Oh, really? Is this the part where I asked you out to dinner?" And I'm like, "What?" You just asked me out to dinner.
Moodsville.
Okay. No, is this Liz?
This is Liz, yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. And the rest is history. And that's actually the same date we saw the with the Cabot.
The Cabot. And
Yeah.
we wrote the story about Cabot. Remember that in the humor class?
Oh, yeah. And that well, we learned that humor is very subjective, the humor class.
Yeah, it was basically the unfunniest class I'd ever had.
Goodness gracious, poor Bass.
Irony at its finest.
It's like people trying to be like, let's try to be funny, and then
You're not funny.
fail.
Yeah. Yeah, not everyone's meant to write humor. That's fine. Okay. So after saving you from the mighty crab cancer that, with his Herculean strength, he ripped in half in front of you, proving his manliness to you, you said, no one else but him.
Pretty much.
I like it.
And I became infatuated. I'm just like, maybe he's not so creepy after all. As it turns out that we actually had a class together freshman year. We had no idea about it. He sat in the front row. I sat like 3 rows back.
With Jonathan and
Alex.
Kelsey, who turned into Alex.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or transitioned.
I was in that class too. I had no idea. And so we were talking about the professor who since passed. And I was like, wait a minute. Weren't you the one in the hoodie who sat in the front row the entire time? Yes, it was.
Weren't you the
Andrew
creepy
Clark.
guy, muttering people's names under his breath as you were writing in your death note? Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, so it's funny how the world works.
She's
Wow,
okay. Like, he's got some angst.
Oh, that makes him attractive. So dark and brooding.
I wonder if he's got some felonies.
Well,
all right. Well, before we keep buttering up John, why don't we move on to the next topic of discussion? What are your top fandoms, guys?
For me, definitely anything by Tolkien, LOTR, like The Hobbit or anything like that. That's has had a huge inspiration for all of my books. Anything like that, fantasy wise. If you're talking about games, definitely Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy. I'm really big into those two. I still haven't finished the remake for Final Fantasy VII yet. I swear, trying to play games with kids is like,
Mom, you done yet, Mom?
Almost non-existent.
In the past age, we can take a controller with them right now.
I swear, it's like trying to get them to play anything other than Minecraft and
Battlecraft. That sounds like a good game.
That's a fun game. Battlecraft.
Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
The 2005 version.
Yeah.
But yeah, Harry Potter is a big one for me too, because I read that a lot when I was in 4th and 5th grade growing up. And then there's like too many animes to count, really. I guess right now we're into One Piece and Pokemon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, what about you?
Well, Pokemon's up there. I think I'm a big fan of Star Wars. I really enjoyed Rebels and Clone Wars. Like a lot of the animated stuff seems to be far superior to the live action shows that have been coming out. But Andor is really good.
I like Mando a lot.
Mandalorian, of course, classic. I'm trying to think of any other big fandoms that I really like. Because there's always, anime, Dragon Ball Z.
My Little Pony.
My Little Pony, you're right. I am a brony. I am not ashamed of that.
We named our daughter after Luna after all.
Princess Luna.
Yeah.
Our oldest daughter thinks that I'm like lame, and she's like, ponies are like a kid show. And I'm like, come on, you're like 9. You're not too old for this. But
oh, Jenna.
But yeah, My Little Pony is up there. I already said Pokemon.
You like the Tales series, don't you?
Oh yeah, for video games,
I know him better than he does.
It takes me a little bit. My processing speed is slower than yours, but
no, it has to be
my CPU. But Yeah,
It's
Tales
an older
of
model, but it'll eventually work.
Tales, yeah, Tales of Vesperia is definitely my favorite JRPG of all time, and
That's a solid one. We had a lot of time crushing on that one.
yeah, Jen has been begging me to play that. Like,
Well,
we want to play it together as a family, though.
Once we get over this whole car accident thing, I think all of us as a family will probably play through it.
Trying to think. Book wise, I grew up reading Crystal Lacey, Christopher Paolini,
You're a big C.S. Lewis fan.
J.R. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, and trying to remember the Golden Compass guy, Philip Pullman.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I read the Golden Compass. That's a good
Oh, they
one.
have a fantastic series. I haven't finished it yet. The His Dark Materials live action. Have you seen that?
I've not, but I remember you praising it a while back.
It is really good. I mean, they added a whole lot more to Will's like backstory, and they introduced him in the first series, and they kind of had alternate. They went back and forth between Lyra and Will instead of Lyra just meeting him random in the second book. But they kept them separate until the second book. Does that make sense? So you're introduced to Will in the first season, but they don't meet each other until the second season.
Introduce the characters.
So they follow the book. They just give Will a backstory.
Interesting.
Okay.
That'll be something that you might have to watch.
This way the audience gets to know him a little sooner. That makes sense.
But they do add a whole lot more stuff that's in the book directly from the book, and I like that.
Okay. Any other fandoms for you two?
I mean, there's a million fandoms, but off the top of my head, can't think of it.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, for anime, there's too many to count. I have to introduce him to a few of them, actually.
And of course, your avatars for the show. Barbara, you're Sailor Pluto. John, you are Ezra Bridger.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent choices.
Speaking of Avatar, Last Airbender.
Oh, that's a good one as well. So, with that in mind, we have all been part of something called the Starving Writers Guild. Would you like to introduce what that is to the audience, how we got started in that, what it means to us?
I'm just the owner. You're the one who started it.
We did. We, collectively, as authors, we graduated with degrees in writing at UNC Wilmington, all three of us, and we tried to go the traditional route. We wrote books, and we tried to go the traditional publishing route by sending query letters to agents and to publishers, and we just got copy and pasted rejection letters back most of the time, if they responded at all.
They got his name wrong on one of them, and the wrong title of the book. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got improperly sent rejection letters that were copy and pasted from other people, and it was just so frustrating. And you're like, you know what? Let's just publish these ourselves because we're writers. We can edit each other's work. We'll keep it legit. And the only thing that was expensive was paying for cover artists to make beautiful covers for our books. And then we paid for printing, and we independently published. And we're not saying we're opposed to the traditional publishing, but we like the ability and freedom to publish it ourselves and control the content. So there's not some schmuck editor who's just like, I'm going to chop everything. I'm going to introduce a romance between these two characters because why not?
No. You do like to chop a lot of my stuff, though.
I am a minimalist and she is a maximalist, so it does create tension. But for the most part, she likes my edits.
For the most part,
you're a synthesist.
Yeah, you are. Okay, so fun side note. The first time I ever read one of your books is when I was in labor with Jenna.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
I remember. If making a painful experience or even more painful.
Lost time.
It's funny because I just grabbed it and I was just like, oh, this is Christian's book. Let's read it.
Which, speaking of, you need to read Barbara's books.
He's read the first one.
I do. I have a first one. I need to get the second and third.
Okay.
I need to get you copies of those next time we meet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, did John tell you I was working on a new series?
No. Please introduce.
Yeah, so the next one, it's the first title of the first book is called The Dark Sentinel and the White Priest.
You meant you were working on a series. You said John.
My paraphasia gets me in trouble sometimes.
That's okay.
I thought I said
it doesn't matter for this conversation. Continue, Barbara.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. It's Barbara's series.
Yeah, so it's my series, but It basically takes place, in modern times, but the history of it is like, what if, when the flood occurred with Noah, that basically every evil was sealed behind an alternate reality instead of being slowly dispersed in the world. So all of the mythological creatures that people talk about in different cultures are real. However, they're just sealed in kind of like a spirit world, kind of. And so there's different areas along the world that have, I call them waypoints, that I guess kind of like in Avatar, where you can go into the spirit world, and stuff like that. But in this version, they're guarded by I think I put down 13 different guardians. So there's 13 different spiritual waypoints to go in between the spirit realm and the regular realm. It hasn't been quite fleshed out yet, but it's it has elves, it has spirits, and a lot of unique stuff to it.
Okay. No, I did not know that. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So hopefully I'm probably going to finish the first one of that series before the fourth one of my dragon series, but yeah.
Well, since we're already on the subject, let's go ahead and discuss your first series you've done, which has 3 books out so far.
Mm-hmm. Well, that one is basically, it takes place in a world called Ecclesia. And so Ecclesia is a high fantasy realm. It has dragons, it has 3 different tribes of elves, it has, merfolk, dwarves, anything you can think of pretty much. Magic. I have different forms of magic, elemental, runic, charms, what have you. And then the main theme of the story is that the world was created by a dragon god, and then he made other dragons in his image that basically herald the earth or the world, and they're based off of different elements. They have different roles around the world. Like the crimson dragons keep volcanoes from destroying the earth world, what have you. The mist dragons are like the patron gods of travelers, wayfarers, thieves, stuff like that. And the series begins when the dragons slowly come back to Ecclesia after having been sealed into a different realm for about 1,000 years or so. And so Ecclesia is been kind of in the Dark Ages, where it's thievery, death, destruction has been running rampant. One of the key themes is that there are certain people who can harness the power of the dragons and become partners to them. So they take on a new form. They can wear armor that's made out of dragon scales, stuff like that. And then they are called what's known as dragoons in my story, which is a play off of the heavy military, heavy infantry dragoons from our world, kind of.
Yes.
It is a 20-book series, so it's going to be fairly long. So
your life's work.
My life's work. And that's not to mention the side series and stuff like that. So I already have one plan for the sirens, and then there's a mini series on the dwarves and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting.
Very good. John, same question, but also answer. How do you justify murdering as many trees as you do to print your books?
Like I said before, I have a deal with the wood spirits that
the woodland elves,
the woodlands, that they long as they like my books, I don't know, I offer them sacrifices in the backyard.
Not that difficult. Nice. That's the only entertainment they have.
I told you not to make a mess.
Oops, knocked over a bunch of Pokemon cards.
Excellent. So,
Storm my life.
what series have you done, John? How have we worked together? Have at it.
So I have 3 series in the works. The first series that I published is my what's it called? The Blight of Tarion series. The first book is the Falgon's Fall, and the series basically follows Elian and his well, she becomes kind of his betrothed later, but basically follows Elian and Sira and how they fight to stop an evil king from taking over the world after he comes back from.
Eloquent.
I know I'm just terrible at describing my own book.
What's the same with me? I'm just like, what do I
That's
say?
Hey, there's no shame in that. I get
We're
it.
writers,
It's
we're not
like,
speakers.
yeah, I know how to write it. You don't put me on the spot to describe it. Well, that's exactly what I'm doing to you, and I'm unfair, and I'm sorry. But continue, John.
But basically, it's kind of a coming of age story where the evil king tries to. I'm just doing a terrible job. I just need to like crawl into a hole and
It's okay.
read a script.
Basically, the king dies, and then
A new king arises, and
exactly, and then they pretty much
using
just
old
accept it.
prophecies to make himself look like the good king. There's a prophesied uh, group of heroes who are going to save the world. He's pretending to be one of them and discrediting the actual heroes along the way, so that when the blight returns to Tarion, he can rule over what's left and reshape the world in his image.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, and I like when someone says, "What's your book about?" I'm like, I don't know. I just wrote it, but
There's a description on the back. So my wife wrote it.
no, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fantasy, a lot of sword and sorcery. I've got wolf mages, dragons, different.
I like the way you did the magic in that one, though.
The magic is it's kind of like a creative magic where every being that's of the main races of the planet have what's called Arin dormant in their body. And when it's activated, they have these creative abilities where they can create literally anything they can imagine as long as they have enough Arin within them. And they can quicken, I call it quickening other people to awaken their magic in each other. But the magic is tightly controlled in the specific land where Elian is from. And I have a lot of politics and other things that make it more interesting for I guess the say sophisticated crowd, the people that like more detailed thrillers that get into the politics of the age, but with enough sword and sorcery and fighting and magic and dragons and stuff. It's interesting for the general fantasy buff.
Yep. And your other 2 series?
Okay, see if I can do a decent job of describing it without dying.
You got Sally.
So the second series that I published, actually, did I publish Sally first?
You did.
I think I did. So that's my fault.
Yeah,
but I published.
You did Sally through Lulu.
The my science fiction series is called just freaking
Can you move the bottle right in front of his face so we don't hear him?
Like
I did that on purpose.
Mike Wazowski, or like I was on TV.
No, it's on YouTube.
The
I did that on purpose, by the way.
I did that on purpose. Trying to remember what my series is called. I think it's called Red War. Is that right?
World War One.
Oh, World War One. See,
I know it better than he does.
So you two are better at describing my own books than I am. But
it's because I have to talk about it all the time in person.
I am very seriously passionate about my stories. Like, you have no idea how passionate I am about these. I can't describe.
I get it. The actual writing, I see what you do, but being forced to introduce it to someone else, be like, well, I know what happens, but how do I say that out loud? Because I mean, you've got Earth and Mars are at war with one another. Mars has been colonized. There's rifts between the two of them. There's Russians on Earth working alongside Mars. You know, the Reds working with the Reds. Very fun pun you involved there. While there's martial law being declared on Earth, and we've got this specialized group working with Earth to try and find who was behind a bombing a couple of years ago. That they were both Sally and Dan were involved with that, and Sally is brought to the Raven, which is a special ops team that no one really is supposed to know too much about. As they investigate this, find out that it used to be. Oh, sorry, I won't go too far. Don't want to actually spoil the whole book before people read it. Suffice to say, they know who's involved after they actually figure it out.
Yeah, well,
And you are currently writing the second book.
I'm currently writing the second book, which
Mhm.
takes place immediately after the first one, and it's been moving slow, but it's developing, and I love my characters. The main character is Sally Finway, a strong-willed female character who wants to be the first Space Navy lieutenant, and through circumstances actually ends up becoming the first Space Navy lieutenant. And it's a lot of fun with a good variety of characters. They all offer something different to the table. A lot of humor in it with the way that the characters interact. There's some like espionage and other intrigue and things going on, and I love the sciency nuances of describing the not so far future of my setting, where it's not like Star Trekky, it's not Star Warsy. There's no aliens. It's just not so far future where they've colonized Mars, they've colonized Venus. There's some colonies on the moon, some space stations and asteroids and things. And but it still takes them forever. It takes them 9 months to leave when they go on their mission. It takes them 9 months to get to Mars because they got to travel 90 million miles.
Yes.
And it describes kind of like their life as they just like exist in this ship for so long, just traveling there, and then describes basically how they pass their time with simulated training and other things to get them ready for what they're going to face or what they're searching for. And I go into a little bit of the politics. Book 2 is basically almost all politics, a little bit less action because it's more developing the world, that's what's going on, and important things that are going to be needed for the future.
And your final series,
And my final series I'm working on is by far my
Third Time's the
favorite,
Charm.
most passionate, and it's all over the place, just like me. If
Mhm.
it's the backstory of my supernatural dimension hopping demon hunter character, who is my author avatar, basically. But
Yes.
his name is Requiem. He goes by many names, and he has a secret role, like a small role to play in every single one of my other series. So there's Easter eggs to be found, characters to recognize.
He'll show up in mine
He'll
eventually.
show up in everybody's, but it
Yep.
basically follows his childhood and how he was basically forced to become this hero of light to fight demons, and it's his origin story, and it's a lot of fun because it bounces back from the past, the present, the future, and different roles that he plays, so you can kind of understand that he's doing a lot of things and that he's spending a lot of time hunting demons and ridding the world of darkness. And it also ties our series together because eventually, hint hint, wink wink, this is all kind of like a big MCU thing where all three of our series are going to collide in big collaborations in the future.
Indeed. And so Christian, you never talk about your stuff because I never remember to. And well, we're already here. I might as well hijack this conversation to talk about me, my favorite subject.
Hmm.
Uh, so I also have 3 series going on now, and knowing me, there's going to be at least 10 more, and I'm never going to get through them all, but I'm going to devote everything I can. So the ones that have actually been published, uh, that I'm seriously writing the sequels to, are my first 2, which are Lost Time in Deadlands. Suffice to say, there used to be, after the crucifixion, organization that was created to protect the world from supernatural threats. Our main character, Blake Azarel, was a member of that group until one day he suddenly finds himself a little over 100 years in the future. His organization's been wiped out and vampires are in control of America. So he's trying to figure out what can he do. How can he fight back? Should he fight back? Like, what is even possible in a world that he no longer recognizes? So that's my Azrael Chronicles as a series title for those. Then I have Broken Veil, where basically a group of college students on their spring break happen upon a hitchhiker who ends up being a wandering pastor who's on the run from a demon. They end up in a town where Thor's hammer supposedly fell, and they have to survive the night as that demon tries to kill everyone there. Then we have my latest book, Resurrection Life, where as someone who has many issues with how isekai do their plots, I decided to do my own as kind of a deconstruction and a reconstruction of the idea because I love the idea of isekai. I very rarely like the end result of isekai that I watch and read. So essentially, there are 12 people from across the multiverse who are called to become heroes in this fantasy world of these 12 different nations and uh, 12 different species, races. You know, we've got your elves, your dragons, or your dragon-born-ish characters, changelings, so on and so forth. Main character, his name is Gideon Sato. He becomes the Fulcrum Paragon. His idea being he's the one who brings everyone together. He's the support character. He's the one who's supposed to watch out for everyone in battle. And in their first ever battle, he gets separated from their group and murdered in a world that doesn't know resurrection. Until 9 years later, he's brought back to life. And it's him trying to figure out how is this possible? What's going on? Who are my allies? Who are my enemies? Why is the world so off track? Why was I specifically targeted to be killed? And I rather enjoy it. But then again, I wrote it, so I'm a little biased.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. I realized that I forgot to mention my actual series name for my third series, and that is
Yes.
the series is called The Lord's Requiem, and it's kind of a play on the word Requiem, and that is also his name that ends up becoming his chosen name. And the first book is called Legion Slayer. Legion referencing the biblical demons who call themselves Legion because they are many.
Yes. And as has been hinted, John and I have also worked together on what will be a sequel to his World War One and his Legion Slayer stuff, along some of mine, introducing one of my characters uh, to his books, Nathaniel David Parker, who's always a presence in the other books, kind of tying them all together as like the guardian of the multiverse, who is sometimes good at this job and sometimes not so good. And you get him at different points in his life. So I'm looking forward to what we have in store there. Guys, we went on way longer than I thought we would, but I should have known that with the three of us here talking about things we really like to do.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say to the good people?
Read my books. Don't judge my books based on my ability to speak about them because my ability to speak is
0
level like
Yes.
like novice. It's like saving throw, roll a 1, fumble over words.
Yep. And I say this not just because I'm John's friend, but because I do it deeply enjoy his books. He's right. Like he can't describe them worth nothing, but he can write the heck out of them. And Barbara, what I have read of hers, and I need to get the other two books, has been an extremely well done writer. Has been an extremely well done writer. Has her writing done extremely well. Sorry, that I'm forgetting how to speak too. I get around John too much, and I forget words have meaning.
You start losing it.
Imagine being around him for 11 years. I mean,
IQ points start dropping.
it's
So,
like a
there's
poison where
that.
it's like 1 point damage like every day.
Goodness gracious. And on that high note, on this very well produced episode, thank you guys for listening. Please leave a like below, share this episode. I don't know why you would, but we would appreciate it regardless. So until next time, see ya.